today. Did Ricky Glenn steal Drew Dober's lunch money, and that's why Drew Dober beat him like he stole something? Also, Grant Dawson tried to storm the walls of the castle and take the crown from the king, but he was slain with one mighty blow. And what about Joe Pyfer? It looks like we all found out why we should want to be like Joe Pyfer, because that boy can fight. Find out all of this and more on today's episode of Matter of Fact MMA. Let's go. What's up? What's happening? We back in it. We back at it at the beginning of the week. We're coming off of another Apex card where in the main event, Grant Dawson goes out there and gets slain by King Bobby Green. Let's just start right there. So there's not a whole lot to cover about this main event fight because it happened quickly. I mean, Bobby Green took the man out quickly. You know what I'm saying? So there you go. But basically in the main event, this was the main event that a lot of people were calling for the win from Grant Dawson. A lot of people thought he was going to be able to go out there, wrestle Bobby Green to the ground, control him, win by the scorecards. I'm included in that. I feel terrible because I'm a Bobby Green fan, but I just thought possibly Bobby Green had lost a half a step, and I just thought Grant Dawson was going to be able to go out there and put it on him. But Bobby Green's reflexes were still sharp, and he caught the man. It was almost like a jab that he caught him with. I'm not quite sure if it was a jab. Probably had a little bit more sting on it than just a mere jab. But he caught the man, and Grant Dawson fell to a heap, and that was it. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to King Bobby Green. Goes out there, gets a huge win in the main event. I was watching some MMA fightings content, and I was noticing that Mike Heck was calling for a fight between Mateus Gamrot and King Bobby Green. I mean, yeah, but let's not throw Bobby Green right back in there like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, there ain't nobody else Bobby Green can fight before he gets to Mateus Gamrot. You know what I'm saying? Like, let the man breathe a little bit. Let Bobby go out there. Is there somebody else between his number and Mateus Gamrot that he can fight? Like somebody, or make a dog fight. Like, I wouldn't mind seeing him and just Dustin Poirier. I know Dustin would never do it, but you know what I mean? Like, and he's probably ranked too high. But is there somebody else in between there that Bobby can fight? Just don't throw him to Gamrot. I mean, good Lord. Like, you're going to put him right in there with Mateus? Anyway, shout out to Bobby Green. Outstanding win. It's going to be interesting to see where he moves on from there. Let's move over to the co-main event, in which Joe Pyfer stepped in there against Abdul Razak Al-Hassan. And I mean, this was interesting because the commentators were hyping this up like, this is the new calm and collected Abdul, and he's talked about that if he can remain calm in there, and implement his game plan, that he'd be this tremendous fighter. And I felt that they were trying to paint that narrative, but at the end of the day, man, Joe Pyfer's just that dude at the moment. You know what I mean? Like, to me, what makes Joe Pyfer so dangerous is he believes what he's saying. Like, he truly believes it. Like, he's really in there scrapping. He's really in there fighting. He's really coming from the bottom and trying to make it to the top. And that power, that power that's in that belief, that's better than a lot of skill sets in mixed martial arts. So, Joe Pyfer went in there, he was so much stronger than the dude. And it's crazy to say because, Abdul is extremely strong. I mean, he when he punches people, he deads them, sends them to the ground. You know what I'm talking about? But Joe Pyfer is just a guy, he weathered what few shots he took. He wasn't landed on a ton, I don't believe. I mean, I don't have the strike percentages in front of me or nothing, but Joe Pyfer's just that dude in the sense that he took those shots. He had some good grappling. you know, I mean, Joe Pyfer, he's well rounded. I mean, it's not like he's like a world class striker or anything like that, but his grappling, his cage control, as well as his wrestling ability, mixed with the striking that he has and just that dog grit, just that heart that he possesses, it's what actually makes him stand out. Now, I'd be anxious to see him against, just the next class in that division, in the middleweight division, just to see like where he stands, because it's like by no means is he ready to go in there with the tip top of the division. But I'd like for him to go in there and find out where he stands, where he matches up with the other fighters at middleweight. So we'll see where the UFC takes him from there. It should be very interesting. I mean, when I think about it, when you think about the top 15 of middleweight, it's like, I mean, some of those guys I could definitely see Joe beating, but at the same time, it's like, you don't want to put him in there too early and just like derail the hype train that is Joe Pyfer, you know what I'm talking about? So it's like when you think about it, I think at number 15 is like Anthony Hernandez. Maybe that. I know that Muniz is around there, 14 or 13. Chris Curtis. Paul Craig is like number 12. I mean, I could see him competing with these guys, but I don't know if he's going to beat these guys, especially Chris Curtis. So, I mean, he might not be ready for the top 15 yet, but he's definitely getting close. So it's going to be interesting to see where he goes from here. Let's move on. How about, as I check my Nizzos, Alex Morono steps in there against Joaquin Buckley. And, I mean, this, I really thought Morono was going to be able to do a lot better. And I don't know, that pace that Buckley put on him from the jump. I mean, Buckley's in outstanding cardio shape, and the pace that he put on him from the time that the bell sounded was just amazing. And he never really got tired. Even by the end of the third round, he looked like he could have kept going. He could have kept fighting. So, I just think that pace he put on him was something that Morono couldn't handle, because Buckley, he needs to tighten up, and I'm saying this as a non-fighter, I'm telling this man to do his job, I'm talking about, but I just feel like he could tighten up on some of his striking, on some of his punches. He leaves a lot of openings in there where, guys like Jack Della Maddalena will go in there and, do work. You'll eat your lunch, you know what I'm saying? When you start leaving a lot of openings in your striking. I mean, you kind of saw that even with Kevin Holland. I mean, JDM wasn't playing around with Kevin Holland. He caught him with a lot of shots. So, Buckley's not ready for all of that yet, but, he definitely looked much improved at 170. Like at 170, he looks like, if he tightened up his striking a little bit, because he definitely has the cardio for it. He's got wrestling as well. If he tightened up a little bit, he could definitely be a force, I believe, at 170. I don't know if he's championship material, but he could be a force. So that was a good fight. I actually picked Morono, so, shout out to, Buckley. You got that one done. That was great. Let's move over to Drew Dober stepping in there with Ricky Glenn. I mean, bro, you couldn't have told me that. There's no way, like, you couldn't have told me that Drew Dober didn't go to grab his lunchbox and open it up. He has nice little fresh Drew Dober snack in there, his sandwich. You know what I'm saying? He had a little juice box in there, you know what I'm talking about? A little pack of fruit snacks, you know what I'm talking about? And maybe he had a little bag of Lay's chips, you know what I mean? And he goes in his lunchbox and it's all gone. All of it's missing. Who stole it? Who took it? It was Ricky Glenn. And they told Drew Dober it was Ricky Glenn, and Drew Dober proceeded accordingly to take Ricky Glenn outside to the playground, drug him to the monkey bars, drug him to the swing set, threw him down the slide, drug him over to the basketball courts, and finished him off. Because he beat that man like he stole his lunch. I mean, Ricky Glenn's trying to hold the gloves. Stop, Drew. Stop. He's trying to hold the gloves. It didn't do nothing. Even the ref didn't step in when he was holding the gloves. Ref's like, Dober get ready to win. I ain't even tripping. And I mean, Drew Dober went out there and beat this man, bro. And I'm just like, which I mean, we all knew that was going to happen. But when you're seeing it unfold, you're like, dang, Ricky, like, I thought you was going to do a little bit better than that. But nevertheless, Drew Dober goes out there, stops the man, gets it done early. You know, shout out to Drew Dober. I definitely think, we're going to see how the UFC matches him up. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to see how they match him up, see where they take him, you know. It's going to be interesting. Interesting things still going on in lightweight. You can't keep lightweight down. That division just keeps churning out interesting fighters. Let's move on. How about Bill Algeo stepping in there with Alexander Hernandez, who dropped back down to 145 pounds? Bro, Bill Algeo went in there and did his thing, bro. I love the promo. After the promo he was given all week, you know, the man can talk a good game. He got that mouthpiece, you know what I'm talking about. And the man can fight. He has an interesting style that is just fun to watch because it's chaotic. Even though it's a controlled chaos for Bill, it's just a fun style to watch and to see it just go down. And to watch, you know, Alex Hernandez definitely landed some shots in there, you know, but Bill was never in any real trouble at all, you know, throughout the entire fight. And just that style of, I mean, the man, just this unorthodox striking, you know, he'd do like some wild, almost like crescent kick, like you would see Wonder Boy throw. And then at the same time, follow it up with almost like, I can't even really describe the striking because it's not like a Anderson Silva, Izzy style because it's nowhere near that sophisticated. But it's just in the chaos of him throwing the shots from these crazy angles. It just makes for a fun fight style and a good fight. And he's got good wrestling defense, so he doesn't have to be super worried about guys taking him down because usually he can defend those takedowns. So it's going to be interesting to see where he goes in the division because, you know, he's definitely not scared to get on the mic and call his shot. He called out multiple people, including Mark Zuckerberg. You know what I'm talking about? I mean, he's with it. So should be interesting. I mean, he even called out Fauci. You know what I mean? So should be interesting to see where he goes from here and how they're going to match him up. Let's move on. How about Karolina Kowalkiewicz goes in there against Diana Belbita? I actually thought that Diana was going to go out there and get the job done. You know, I was kind of thinking that the ground was going to fall out this time on Karolina. And, I mean, she went out there and still, I mean, she was poised. She had a good game plan. And her grappling was really good. Like, it wasn't like she just went out there and pieced her up on the feet. Like, she had some good grappling. She took full mount on her and everything. So, I mean, shout out to Kowalkiewicz. She was obviously dealing with a lot going on with her family. She still goes out there, guts out the win. Very interesting to see where they move her from there. I mean, you know, she's been around for so long in the division. She outlasted, you know, the Boogie Woman, you know. Young Jacek is already retired, and, you know, Karolina's still out there fighting. So it's going to be interesting to see where they end up moving her. Shout out to her. How about Nate Menez goes in there? Look, shout out to Nate Menez for getting that win, but I don't even know what Mateus was doing. I'm not even really sure what was transpiring there. It was like he was actively trying to lose, which I know he wasn't. But I don't know anything about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but it never looked like he had the leg lock at all, especially when he had both legs entangled. And it was like, and he wasn't advancing, and it was just like, bro, I don't think you've got anything here. You might want to try to get back to your feet. And it didn't work out for him. So there you go. He got knocked out. Doing Charles Oliveira bad. You in the same camp with Chucky Olives. Oh, Charles Oliveira. And you're making him look bad with the blue hair too. Come out with the blonde hair. Man, be with the crew. Anyway, let's move on. How about a crime went on Saturday night? I don't know if everybody was paying attention, but a crime kind of happened in front of the entire world. You know, we were all tuning in to watch some UFC fights at the Apex, everybody's lovable Apex. and you're expecting to see some good fights, and then a robbery took place. Because how about Vanessa Demopoulos steals a win from Murata? I mean, come on, it wasn't like Murata ran away with it, but she definitely. I mean, if anything, you can give Vanessa the first round. Round 2 and round 3 went to Murata, and I don't know what happened. She tried to play it off like, she almost expected it, and she was like, she controlled the fight. The other girl controlled the positions, Murata. But it's like, bro, ma'am, it's like, come on. Like, when you could see the utter shock on her face when they read her as the winner, the same shock that we all had at home because we had all witnessed a robbery. I mean, I almost dialed 911 to go ahead and tell somebody. I don't roll like that, but I almost did. She got away. She got away with something on Saturday night. Like I said, you can give her the first round, but don't try to give her the second or the third round. She gets the first round, but Murata, she should have won that fight. Nevertheless, Vanessa Demopoulos moves on. I mean, this is like her second robbery she's won, to tell the truth. Might be her third, but, nevertheless, she goes out there. She gets that win. She gets back in the winners column. So we'll see who they're going to match her up with next. But whoever fights Vanessa next, you got to finish her. You do not want to go to the scorecards with this lady, because she's got something on somebody's judge, and she will get the decision. Let's move on. Arichi Lang had a big win over Johnny Munoz. In that first round, Johnny Munoz was looking pretty poised. I will say he was looking pretty good on the ground, and his striking looked pretty good. But, second and third round, it was like most of the second round, he just kind of got controlled. But he was with it. He had good defensive grappling, and he was trying to make scrambles happen. But, bro, Arichi Lang, he definitely went out there and did his thing. So shout out to him, shout out to the hat that he wears. Shout out to the whole thing. I liked it. So good deal. Then we got Montana De La Rosa steps in there with J.J. Aldridge. I kind of thought De La Rosa was going to be able to do a little bit better, but, J.J. Aldridge on short notice at that. She said she never got out of shape in between camps, and clearly in those few weeks she didn't, because she was in good shape. Cardio held up for 3 rounds. She had really good boxing. If I thought if she was going to win that fight, it definitely wouldn't be by boxing, but, shout out to her. She did her thing. Overall, it was a good little Apex card. I'm talking about, just a little, little splash. Just a little splash. It wasn't too much. You wasn't going to get a whole cup of water. It was just a little splash, I'm talking about. So, it was a good show. It was a good card. We're going to see what's going to shape out today on the MMA Hour, because, Ariel's going to have Bobby Green on there. That should be interesting. We're going to get caught up on a few little topics, few little things, and I'll be right back with you. So I appreciate you guys for joining me for another episode of Matter of Fact MMA, and I'll check you next time. Peace.